Hello, dear hearts. May this astrological update and connection to Chiron in myth, Chiron in astrology, bring you a lot of support, help, and the right keys to navigate through this strong and powerful astrological point in time. There is a mystery school on Chiron that I would love you all to connect with and listen in on. So, of course, let me know if you would like to be on the list to receive that. And as you know, with the mystery schools, I'm always, putting a lot into it, so you will be able to indulge in a lot of hours of Chiron truths. But in saying this, right now it's important to bring your hearts and minds to the energy of Chiron and how important his transit through Aries is at this particular juncture, especially because Chiron is now mingling and preparing to become almost one with this total solar eclipse in Aries. Chiron is also going to have his second clear conjunction with Mercury, and that's in early April, and then one more clear conjunction with Mercury in early May. There was one just now in March as well. So it's a clear conjunction in 3 doses. So you can understand Chiron energy mingling with Mercury, of course, being very much the centerpiece of the energy of this particular eclipse. We can talk about many other factors that are involved when we look at what's coming our way with this total solar eclipse in Aries. But in order for us to, I guess, absorb and understand all the other information that is going to be available, that is going to be, receiving its place in our hearts, it's good to start here first. And I'm quite interested, and I always have been, in the way things commence when it comes to astrological interpretations. Chiron was recently discovered when we look at the astrological language, in the 70s. And in astrology, whenever a planet is discovered, or an asteroid, or a planetary body that gets incorporated into astrological practice, we tend to focus on, of course, what's taking place in the world at that moment of discovery. And that supports the way the information then gets translated into the language of astrology and how we then interpret these things in our star maps. For example, in 17-something, when Uranus was discovered, and I have talked about this and written about this, it was around the time that electricity was getting discovered, and therefore Uranus, of course, is directly aligned with that. There was a lot of revolution happening. Once again, therefore, the interpretations of Uranus were aligned with that. And many of the things that were taking place at that time when Uranus was discovered were then put into the way we interpret Uranus astrologically. But taking it to another level as well, Uranus, being the god of the sky, Uranos, in ancient Greek, and understanding all that myth to then give us a better, clear structure in how we work with the information of the planet in our star maps. So, there have been planetary bodies and planets discovered after Uranus, of course, such as Pluto, and that was, a very big moment in history, where so much, like a volcano got brought up to the surface from the belly deep states and erupted all over humanity. So that was around 1930 when Pluto was discovered. So you can understand how key, how key those moments in our history were. Now, Chiron, being an asteroid, doing his dance in an interesting positioning near Saturn and Uranus, in many ways is known as a gateway, a doorway to connecting with the outer planets, connecting with information beyond our inner dimensions, being able to bring in mastery and relate to mastery through the process of commencing an authentic path or soul life's purpose. And Chiron energy, being discovered in the 70s, straight away was brought into this interpretation of healing of the arts such as astrology, medicine, certain divinatory practices, and in general, the very wide and expansive world of the capacity of healing oneself and others. And Chiron, that name being, given to the asteroid, brings us down a beautiful storytelling experience of what Chiron is. And just to put it briefly, for everything very detailed and elaborate, as I said, we can connect with the mystery school, the Chiron mystery school. But just to put it briefly so you can really relate to this upcoming total solar eclipse and connect with what Chiron is infusing into this experience for us collectively, of course, and personally, is that, Chiron was birthed in myth in a way that the people that birthed him, that brought him onto this existence, this plane of existence, had shame because the way that he was brought into this realm of existence was through deception, through deceit, and, the Chronos energy, the Chronian energy had to appear as another form to then seduce his nymph mum to then birth him, and therefore her response was a lot of shame when she did see him birthed as being, half horse, half man, and then, of course, was rid of him, did not want him. So abandoned her child, and he was abandoned. But then, with all the love and care of this world, the great god, Apollo, and his sister Artemis, they took him in. They took Chiron in from a very young age. And they taught him the arts, all the arts. You can understand, the Oracle of Delphi, the epicenter of understanding, healing capacity, the great god Apollo's house, his home, where he would live. Imagine all that wisdom just going into the heart of Chiron, resuscitating him, bringing him back so that he didn't lose himself in the grief of his abandonment. And he became a king of his own species, of the Centaurs, okay? He also was a great teacher to so many important figures in myth. Imagine, like Achilles, and I mean, if we think of his story, or Yasuna's Jason, Jason and the Argonauts, if you remember. But just going back to Achilles, a great hero of the Trojan War. I mean, he was known as the greatest of all the Greek warriors, for example. So his key teacher, one of his key teachers was Chiron. Yasuna, Jason as well. Chiron, taught him, educated him. So through his pain, through Chiron's pain, this is why he's known as the wounded healer, he was able to then use that to ensure whoever he taught, whoever he put on their way, whoever he empowered, weren't manifesting through pain body, were able to go beyond that and really find and establish themselves in some kind of more dignified, clear space that was very aligned and correct. So he had an incredible way of healing and supporting those that he took under his wing. And he had the best teachers, like I said, Apollo and Artemis, goddess of the sun and moon. And not just the sun and moon. you see. That's their terrain, that's what they dominate, but they were so much more than that. So he was able to really, I guess, support you if you came to him for the right and truest kind of help. So Chiron, in astrology is just that. He is the wounded healer. We can see where our wounds are when we look at him in our star map. We can understand where our wounds are. And we can also learn how to really benefit others through Chiron energy. So imagine the 70s in our, dimension was when the portal opened up to understanding astrologically how to find out how we can really heal others. Because prior to that, we couldn't really get that information so clearly. But it really happened for us in the 70s. And that was a great time because in the 70s, some of the most authentic and best books and literatures were resurrected and also created and offered to the world about astrology. People's minds became very open. There was such an interest in all these incredible things. So Chiron's discovery is part of that collective shift. And I think now, with Chiron's support, even though it is painful and difficult, being in Aries, in alignment with, in conjunction with this eclipse, this total, believe it or not, total solar eclipse in Aries, which is going to be very visible in the United States of America primarily. And also, being that confrontational force that looks at us all straight in the face and wants us to see where our harmful acts have led us, to see where our selfishness has led us, to see where our greediness has led us, to see what we are, in an abrupt, very brutal way. Because Chiron is challenging the collective to want to heal all sorts of wounds that have been taking place in and amongst all of us forever. And to do it in a way that is fearless, that's Aries exalted, has an ability to set a great example, that's also Aries exalted, and lead the way from that, that point of naught that we were talking about in all these other talks that I was doing astrologically, which is, ground zero, and that means you got to have faith, you got to trust, you got to believe in yourself and others again. And that is not easy, because we're in a time where things are pretty yucky, And why? Because it's hard to rely on this thing called support, the heart space, people relating to each other in a way that's kind. Everything has become, in simple words, transactional. And there needs to be untangling, if that's the right word, of that spell, relating to the decency in us and others, having trust again in ourselves and others. It's work. It's work that needs to be applied through, the right kind of questioning and the space needed to heal ourselves and others. And a lot of space will be needed around this eclipse, a lot, because it is honestly pushing us all to need space, to just get all of what is unwanted away from us, what is taxing our energy and time away from us, and just breathe deeply so we can understand what the message is, because Chiron comes with messages around this total solar eclipse in Aries. And we need to see where the wounds are personally and collectively. We have to also see where we've harmed, how we've hurt ourselves and others, and really look in that mirror of clarity so we can never let ourselves and others fall into these types of patterns and tendencies again. And directionally, with the directional node heading towards Aries, we are heading towards the chance for a whole new start. But where there are new beginnings, there are endings. It's something we cannot avoid. So what's remarkable about Chiron and Aries, and this transit does go on, my friends, it goes on for a while. So I know many of us who listen to this actually have their own natal Chiron in Aries, so it must be extra potent for all of you. But even anyone under strong Aries, Libra, Aries astrological points in your star map will be feeling the Chiron energy, the Chiron force. Yes. So one more thing, yes. I'm going to be using a photo, a beautiful photo. It's a painting actually, in this audio that you'll see, and it's of Chiron and Achilles, and I was so blessed to receive this painting's image from the dear Latchis family. And if we want to talk about a place, a place that, offered so much healing to the world through the portals of theatre, there was this incredible New England theatre empire built by the Latchis family. One particular member of that family is a dear, dear friend of mine, and I'm just so grateful for what was created, for what was birthed there, and all the art, all the care, all the tenderness put into that theatre. You can understand, it's not something that gets built just by clapping your hands. So much heart, so much care, so much attention and love from this Latchis family went into this incredible theatre complex. So the image is the art that was in that theatre, in their theatre compound. And as I said, it's of Chiron with Achilles on his back, showing him the way. It's incredible and so beautiful. And it's a memorial. And yeah, it's based on a 4th century BC structure that is actually visible, or was. I'm not sure if it's been removed and put in a museum, below the Acropolis from the 4th century BCE. So, yeah, I think, I'm sorry, I'm just getting emotional saying this. I think, the sacredness of such times, imagine the 4th century BC, having this amazing memorial erected for Achilles and Chiron, and the way he guided him and taught him the way under the Acropolis, our beloved Acropolis in Athens, Greece. It's beautiful. It's beautiful that such things were honored in such extremely, profoundly divine ways, because there was an understanding, there was a respect. So I'm so grateful that astrology has evolved and brought in the wisdom of Chiron from the 70s and has not let that become, a part of history that is left to rot somewhere, but instead is something that we have revived so well and can continue to use now. So the wounded healer, a healing support, a healing and dear support for us all in astrological language, and also as an archetype, as a mythological being that is definitely beneficial. Thank you so much, everyone. May true healing happen.